I never thought a tree could cause so much pain, but maybe it wasn't just a tree. It was his tree. Tyler's, my son. We planted it when he turned 8. He called it Okie, said it would grow big and strong, just like him. He watered it every Saturday morning, sometimes even talked to it. When he scraped his knee, he'd sit beneath that little tree and whisper secrets I never asked about. And when he died, that tree was the only place that still felt like it held a piece of him. That's why I couldn't let it go. That's why this story hurts to tell. But I'm telling it anyway. 3 years ago, Tyler was hit by a drunk driver walking home from baseball practice. I can still remember the phone call, the silence after, the numbness that never fully left. He was 10, my only child. We buried him on a Monday. I didn't leave the house for weeks. But when I finally stepped into the backyard again, Okie was still there, green, steady, reaching up toward the sky like it was looking for him too. I started spending hours beside it, sitting, talking, crying. It became my ritual, my anchor. I built a simple bench around it one spring. Nothing fancy, just a small circle to sit, think, breathe. I added a plaque. For Tyler, may your roots reach as far as your dreams. When I submitted the landscaping form to the HOA, I didn't think twice. They rejected it, of course. Structure exceeds allowable personal space modifications. Whatever that meant. I didn't care. I built it anyway. And the letters started showing up. Violation notices, $50 here, $100 there. A warning, a threat. I ignored them all. What were they going to do, take the bench? It's not like it was hurting anyone. My yard was clean, my grass mowed, my hedges trimmed. But none of that mattered to them. What mattered was that I didn't follow the rulebook they held over all our heads like a noose. I should have known they'd take it further. It was a Thursday. Cloudy, humid, the kind of day that already feels wrong before anything even happens. I had just gotten back from the store, arms full of groceries, when I heard the chainsaw. I dropped everything, ran to the backyard. And there they were, 2 men in safety vests, one with a clipboard, and that woman, Ms. Albright, the HOA president, standing there like she was inspecting termites. "What are you doing?" I screamed. The man with the saw stopped for a second. "We were told to remove unauthorized vegetation, ma'am." "It's a memorial," I shouted. "It's my son's tree." But Ms. Albright didn't flinch. "Ma'am, we sent multiple notices. This structure violates Article 4, Section B.3. The removal is authorized." By the time I got between them and Okie, half the branches were already gone. The bark where Tyler carved his initial was shredded. I dropped to my knees. I begged. I cried. I cursed. I didn't care who heard. And when it was over, all that remained was a jagged stump and a pile of memories scattered like sawdust. That night, I sat in the dark, arms wrapped around myself, feeling like I had just lost Tyler all over again. But this time, it was on purpose. Someone chose to destroy this, to erase him. The next morning, I filed a complaint, took photos, brought paperwork, marched into the HOA office with every ounce of grief-turned-anger I had. They listened for exactly 2 minutes, then handed me another fine, $300 for public disturbance and disorderly conduct. That's when I snapped. I spent the next 3 weeks going through every file I had, old HOA bylaws, meeting minutes, architectural requests from other residents. I knocked on neighbors' doors. I listened. Turns out I wasn't alone. The Johnsons had been fined for installing solar panels, even though 2 blocks over the Taylors had the exact same setup and 0 issues. The Perez family? Threatened with foreclosure over an unapproved vegetable garden. Mrs. Langford? Nearly sued for repainting her mailbox. It was never about the rules. It was about control. We started meeting every Saturday in my garage, sharing stories, swapping documents. We formed a group, Residents for Fair Housing. Sounds formal, but really, it was just tired people who were done being pushed around. One of us, Mike, worked in local media. Another, Tanya, was a retired attorney. They helped us craft a formal complaint to the county. Meanwhile, I wrote a personal piece and sent it to every news station I could think of. Only one responded, but that was enough. 2 weeks later, a segment aired. When Grief Meets Governance, how one mother's tree sparked a neighborhood revolt. They showed Okie's stump. They showed the plaque. They even used footage from our HOA meeting, where Ms. Albright rolled her eyes as I spoke. That changed everything. People started reaching out. Emails, messages, other communities, other grieving parents. One man in Georgia who had lost his daughter and planted a garden in her name, only to have it torn out because it attracted bees. We weren't isolated. We were a symptom of something broken. The county launched an investigation. The HOA board was subpoenaed for financial records. Turns out Ms. Albright had been approving landscaping contracts for her brother's company. Inflated rates? No bids. Violations used as revenue. It was bigger than Oki, bigger than me. 3 board members resigned. The rest were voted out. And then came election day. For the first time, real neighbors ran for the board. People who actually lived here, not just enforced here. I didn't want to run, but my neighbors insisted, said I was the reason they believed change was possible. I won by a landslide. The first motion I introduced? The Memorial Protection Act, a clause that allowed any resident to designate a small part of their yard for remembrance. A tree, a bench, a plaque. No approval needed. As long as it was safe, it was sacred. The second motion? A community garden in the common space, open to all, with a corner dedicated to Oki's Grove. We planted 5 saplings there last spring, but that wasn't the end. One morning, I got a knock on the door. It was a teenager, shy, maybe 15. He handed me a small wooden carving, a T, said his sister saw the news story and wanted to give me something. I cried again. For the first time, it felt like a good kind of cry. Today, Tyler's tree has a twin. Same species, same spot, stronger roots. We held a ceremony. Not a big one, just friends, neighbors, people who cared. We read a poem. Played one of Tyler's favorite songs. He used to dance to it in the kitchen while making a mess of cereal and milk. And we laughed, really laughed, the way I thought I'd forgotten how to. So if you ask me whether fighting the HOA was worth it, I'll tell you this. I didn't just fight for a tree. I fought for a memory, for fairness, for every person who's been told their pain is an inconvenience. And now, every time I sit on that bench beneath Oki's twin, I hear wind in the leaves, and sometimes, just sometimes, it sounds like a little boy laughing.